Welcome to the Music Nut Program. I'm John. Thank you so much for joining me today. Welcome back to the latest edition of It's Chris Whitley Wednesday. On today's show, I will be discussing Chris's ninth album, released on March 20, 2004 on Messenger Records, War Crime Blues. This is the first of two albums that he would release on March 20, 2004, and I will be doing a show for that album too. And of course, that album is Weed. War Crime Blues, the fourth album where Chris is solo, completely solo. Vocals, guitars, foot stomp. Sounds much different from Dirt Floor, much different from Weed, which I'll be talking about on another show I'll be putting out later today. In the same spirit as the Live at Martyrs from 2000, we're getting deeper into the blues on this album. This album was recorded at Helicopter Studio. Chris produced it. It was recorded with Edgar Rothig, who was involved with the Hotel Vast Horizon album. Two of these songs were recorded in very interesting places. Invisible Day was recorded under the Albert Bridge in Dresden, Germany, and The Call Up was recorded at the Naudot Hotel in Paris. So this album, 33 minutes, 11 tracks, 3 covers. Let's get started on this wicked album where Chris reinvented the blues, in my opinion. And I reviewed this album in 2005 on Amazon's website. If you look at albums and album reviews and recommendations, my review's on there under my proper name, John Alapic. Made from Dirt is wicked. I'm going to say this many times. And its execution. This is one of several blues songs on the album that Chris wrote on his own. And all of them are full of fire and passion, wickedly sung and played by Chris. Yes, you're hearing a lot of his vocals on this album that are barely above a whisper, but he sings the hell out of this one. And his guitar playing is masterful. It just takes you in and just grabs you by the throats. The next track is Her Furious Angels. This would win an Independent Music Award for Best Blues Song at the 4th Independent Music Awards. This slows down the tempo on here. Chris is going into his falsetto voice a little bit on this song. His vocal on here is strong. You can see why this song would be voted as a song of the year. It's very well done, very well written and executed. Ghost Dance, getting back into the blues again. This sounds like Robert Johnson blues here, 1930s. Chris is playing the hell out of this bottleneck guitar on here. This is awesome. Fantastic. I put it on mix CDs for friends and they've all loved it. Very well played and sung by Chris. But again, think of it as 1930s, 1940s blues, and then you'll get it. War Crime Blues is more mid-tempo. Chris's vocals very strong on here. The guitar lines really bring you in. Very cool title track. Invisible Day, we're slowing down the tempo even more. This is a more reflective song. This is the song that was recorded under the bridge. And it does have a feeling. You're waiting to hear the wind go by when you hear this song and its execution. It's very wistful. Excellent track. It does have more of a feel by a river or an ocean in the way it plays out. It's pretty cool. I Can't Stand It, one of the three covers on the album. This, of course, was Lou Reed's song from his self-titled debut, which was pretty riveting in its original, but it had backing vocals on it, had more of a good time feel. This is more like punk, played with a lot more venom and vigor. And Chris again is going crazy on the guitar here. It's a faster version, definitely. Chris makes this song his own. It kicks ass. It's great. White Rider reminds you a little bit of Invisible Day in its execution, but the difference is it starts out with this recording of like an xylophone that I think I've heard somewhere. And Chris's vocal sounds it sounds like it's off an old tape recorder. It doesn't sound modern. It definitely sounds like something in the 1930s, but in its execution, it's very much like Invisible Day, being more reflective. Very strong track. Dead Cowboy song, we're going right back in this old organic blues sound, wickedly sung and played. Chris's guitar work on this is masterful. This just, again, it just comes in, just kicks your ass. It destroys. Excellent. Next track is The Call Up. This was originally recorded by The Clash on their Sandinista album. My favorite album by The Clash. But where their version has very bouncy rhythm to it, even though it's a very serious political song, this is done a lot more quiet, and you really focus on the lyrics here. And again, Chris is going back to that whispered vocal line here. I really like what Chris did with this. I don't know if I'd say it's as good as the Clash's version, but Chris does make the song his own. I will definitely say that. God Left Town. The fourth of four songs that are in that driving blues tradition, and this might be the most fiery of the four. Again, sounds more like a punk song, much like Dead Cowboy song does. Maybe even more so. Killer. Great chorus on here. The bottleneck guitar playing on here is wonderful. Very loose and ragged, but just rocks like fuck. It is awesome. Excellent track. Nature Boy closes the album. This is an old traditional jazz standard. First time I heard it was when I heard the late, great Kevin Mahogany sing it on his Another Time, Another Place album. But that one had a big band behind him. It was very classy, very well done. This is Chris and Chris alone and just his voice. And he gives you the first verse and the chorus, and that's it. So it's a minute and a half. And now he's singing more than the whispered voice again. But it works very well with his deep timbre. Great way to end an album, very unexpected way to end this excellent album by Chris Whitley, War Crime Blues. One of my favorite Chris Whitley albums, and I will be going into that when I do my album ranking at the end of this series. So, have you heard this album by Chris Whitley? And if you have, what do you think of it? What are your favorite tracks on here? And what do you think of Chris's renditions of the Lou Reed and the Clash songs and the jazz song in Nature Boy? Please let me know in the comments. Just to let you know, later on today, I will be putting out a episode for the album, the other album that was released on March 20, 2004 by Chris Whitley, which is Weed, which is all acoustic versions of 16 tracks from his first three albums that were on CBS, later Sony, or Work Records. So, thank you so much for joining me today. Do what you love, and I'll talk to you soon.